Hey, Ronnie here from Four Wheeling in Western Australia. In this video, we're going to cover low range gear selection. So this is a low range gear selection tips video. This has been requested by quite a few of you. So here we go. These tips will work both for manual and automatic. So it makes no difference as to what you have. Tip number one, you can take off in second gear low in most cases. The only time I'd recommend you take off in first gear low is if you're on steep terrain, like really steep terrain. You need to do a hill start, first gear low is the way to start. Otherwise, second gear low is fine. Number two, rock crawling or driving on rocks, technical terrain, first gear low is your best friend. And first gear low will keep you at a very slow controlled speed, will give you maximum torque and will stop you from bouncing too much, and should you hit something, it'll be at low speed, so you risk a lot less damage. So first gear low is your best friend. Number three, when off-roading in areas where low speed is only possible, you can most of the time leave it in fourth gear low. Even if you drop down to 1000 RPM in a petrol or diesel engine, you shouldn't stall. So you can play around with it, it's going to be different for each vehicle, but most vehicles, and in my case, I can just leave it in fourth gear low most of the time without stalling. Number four, hill climbs will require first or second gear low most of the time. I wouldn't go any higher than that, especially in the steep hills, because you'll be bouncing around too much. So first and second gear low will give you maximum control and maximum torque. Number five, driving up sand dunes. Sand dunes can require anything from second gear low to fourth gear low. It all depends on the dune, sometimes even second gear high. Momentum is key when it comes to sand dunes, not speed, momentum. The constant movement at the right RPM when you hit the hill and try and maintain that RPM. But every vehicle and every sand dune is different, so you're going to have to learn how your vehicle behaves and you just have to trial it out and test it for yourself. Number six, descending hard-packed hills. So these are your rocky hills, your pea gravel hills. When descending those hills, use first gear low, and the reason for that is to use your engine compression to slow the vehicle down. That way you don't go careering down a hill and you're struggling to use your brakes. And even if you did use your foot brake all the way down, you would get brake fade and you would severely wear your brakes out. So first gear low is your best friend. Number seven, sand dunes. Again, this time we're going downhill. When going downhill on a sand dune, you want to use, most of the time, second gear low. And the reason why we don't use first gear low is because it's too slow. So second gear low allows the vehicle to go down at the same rate as the sand will shift. First gear low, the sand will shift in front of you and you risk the back end possibly sliding over if you don't have the front wheels dead straight. Number eight, we're talking about fifth gear low this time. Fifth gear low when off-roading under intense labour and for longer periods of time is not recommended. Fifth gear low in most manual gearboxes is the weak point of the gearbox. You can damage your gearbox by using fifth gear low under load. So I'd recommend avoiding fifth gear low at all costs. And to give you an example of a situation, you're on a boggy beach, you're in fifth gear low and you're revving really high and it's labouring. Don't do that. Somehow get to high range gearing if you need to go that fast, or go a bit slower in fourth gear low. The same goes for vehicles in high range towing. So you're in fifth gear towing a caravan up a hill under intense labour. I would recommend that you don't do that. Go back to fourth gear. Fifth gear is just for cruising. That said, some vehicles have a gearbox that can handle it, but I'm not going to say any makes or models in case I am giving you the wrong information on that and you go and blow your gearbox. Number nine, we're now talking about bigger wheels and low range. So low range, the main reason for low range, as you probably gathered already, is for slow and control speed. So for those vehicles that modify their tyres and they put bigger tyres on it, if you just go a couple of sizes, or one size I should say, it's not too bad, but once you go two sizes or three sizes bigger, then your crawl speed will suffer. And depending on the type of vehicle, depending on the severity of it. For example, 70 series V8 Land Cruisers, their crawl speed is so low from stock that they can go up to 35s and they still got a decent crawl speed. However, in a Hilux, for example, from my experience, when I went up 2 tyre sizes, I lost my crawl speed and I had to re-gear the diffs, which we're not going to cover in this, but just letting you know, if you put bigger tyres on your vehicle, your crawl speed will suffer to some degree. Number 10, my final tip for you with low range is when you're crossing a river, second gear low is your best friend. First gear low, too slow. Third and fourth gear low, you're hitting the water too fast, too hard, you're going to get water over the bonnet. The aim is to keep your bow wave, so second gear low just seems to be the perfect speed for it. And surprisingly, in second gear low, there's a lot of variance in speed that you can get. So it's great for momentum, great for the torque, and you just keep going through the water. Well, hopefully you do, otherwise you're in trouble. Rightio, so that's pretty much all my top 10 tips for you. If you have some tips of your own or something I haven't covered, please put them in the comments below for other viewers.
For more bonus tips on gear selection when off-roading in low range, click on the icon up above or in the description below.
And you can subscribe right here. So take care out on the tracks and trails. See ya.